Good day everyone and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be discussing One Piece chapter 1038 titled Kid and Law versus Big Mom. So let's dive into it. Of course, spoiler warning. And yeah, so first things first, the cover page this week is continuing the Jima's cover story. And we get the revelation that Niji and Yonji were captured in Mount Dior's book and they are being held in Cacao Island in the town square, and we see Ovan guarding them and Puddin looking on. Maybe she helps them escape? Have to wait and see. But now let's dive straight into the chapter itself. So first things first, we get more on Raizo and Fukurokuju. That's a mouthful. But we see Raizo is totally engulfed in flames and he hasn't let go of his jutsu yet. And we see Fukurokuju telling him to let go of this jutsu or both of them are going to die. We also see some samurai saying that they can't escape from the fire because where they went was a dead end. And we see the ceiling above them begin to crack and cave in. And as it's about to fall, Jinbei appears and catches it and saves them from death and tells them to escape. But while he's doing that, he's wondering how these flames have gotten so far, what is causing that, and he also says it's one thing to die in battle, but having these scores of men being killed by flames, that is a whole other cup of tea. So interesting. We then get what seems to be Big Mom, because we see a big explosion and some of the soldiers say stay away from Big Mom, don't go over there, don't go near her. And we see looking on is Miyagi, Baby, Old Man, Chopper, and the mink nurse. And Chopper turns back into his normal form, so as a plus. Maybe he'll play another role now, we'll have to wait and see. But while that's going on, Chopper begins to worry about Zoro. So he's talking to Miyagi and he's telling him, well, that wonder drug that you gave Zoro, essentially it healed him, but the damage is going to be doubled when he comes back. So I wonder how far he is. He was so injured to begin with. So, you know, I hope you won his fight. I hope he's okay. But this serves as maybe just like a reminder that Zoro took this drug for people who may have forgot. And the side effects, it seems like one of those. And we then cut to Zoro. So we cut outside Onigashima. We see Zoro probably a little ways out of the Skull Dome, and he's on the ground panting. And he sees the Grim Reaper and the typical Grim Reaper. So we see the hood, the sight, the skull face, and Zoro is asking what's going on. His body won't move and he screams out to stop. No, don't. And cut away from that. So Zoro is seeing the Grim Reaper. Some people are saying maybe it's Brook and Zoro is hallucinating because of the pain. Some people are thinking maybe it's Enma because Enma is king of the underworld. So interesting. We have to wait and see. But this harkens back to just like when Zoro absorbed Luffy's pain and he said everything was fine in Thriller Bark. No, that was after Thriller Bark actually, when Kuma appeared. But I digress. This harkens back to that kinda, because now Zoro is feeling his full pain, but I'm sure he'll survive. We see Frankie rushing to Zoro and he calls Zoro stupid as usual, and he's like, how far did you go? Probably because Zoro tends to get lost a lot. We then cut to Izo. So we see Izo has finished up with the guys protecting Usopp and his brother Kiku, or his sister Kiku, and you know, the rest of them who was up there in the attic. I believe it was just Kiku and Kinemon, because Ashura Doji did jump out when the explosion took place to get rid of Kanjuro. So I believe it's just the two of them and Usopp. But Izo lands on the ground and he seems to be bleeding. So he mentions that he was sloppy or careless and he got injured. He got injured right here on his side and he's bleeding. And he turns his gun and points it at what seems to be now the CP0 guys. And he's like, Cyberpole, and they're like, well, that's right, but we're Aegis Zero, and I know we're not supposed to like leave you here because you remember Whitebeard's crew, remnant. But for today, we'll just pretend we didn't see you. You didn't see me, I didn't see you, and we'll go along our business and forget this ever happened. And while they're about to walk off, he begins to tell them, no, don't go yet. So we're not sure if he's going to show down with them or have a showdown with them or make some type of bargain maybe, but we have to wait and see. We then cut to Yamato now. This chapter has been jumping around a lot, and we see a next map of the Skull Dome and Yamato at the center, or well, at the bottom, because it's a center view of the map, and we see she's just in time to stop the flame monster. I forgot the name of it, but it's about to touch the bombs, and Yamato uses a new attack called Namuji Glacial Fang. So she turns hybrid and fires this attack and freezes the bombs before Kanjuro's fire demon can touch it. So when it touches, it begins to melt the ice slowly, and she then uses a next attack called Maharoba and swings it at the fire demon, causing it to use or create some kind of flame arm and fire an attack at her. But this is interesting because now we know Kanjuro's monster could kind of fight instead of just passing through objects and setting it on fire. But also something to note, all of Yamato's attacks seem to be named after something mythical connected to Japan. That's pretty cool. We then cut to what is essentially the title of the chapter now, Law versus Big Mom with Kid, or Law and Kid versus Big Mom, whichever one you want to go with. So we see the crews are there, and it seems Law and Kid's crew are there, and they are telling Big Mom to stop if they keep going, that Law and Kid is going to die, to cut them a break. And Big Mom is like, ha ha ha, listen to your men pitying you. And if it doesn't make them feel pathetic and weak. We then see, Kid is white-eyed and on the ground unconscious. Law is not like that, he just has his hat over his eyes, but he's on the ground. Big Mom is bleeding a little bit and breathing heavily. And we see again the two crews. Of course, from these two crews, something to mention, Beppo is missing from Law's crew, along with Sachi and Penguin. And we see Heat, Wire, and Killer not with, of course, Kid's crew. So just quick mention, was hoping Beppo would be here. Kinda wanna see Beppo go through long form still and do some karate moves on Big Mom. But I digress. We then cut to Big Mom now telling the crew silence, and she uses God of Lightning Tenji with Hera, and Tenjin basically strikes both crews, and both of them seem to be knocked down. Not unconscious, maybe unconscious, but knocked down. Big Mom then gets ready to leave. Her hair is on fire. Don't know if anybody noticed that, but her hair is on fire. And she's about to leave. And she's like, you know what? I've yet to hear Kaido's raw victory. Maybe he's playing with his food. I hope he's not, because we know Kaido tends to do that. And she's about to leave, and she asks Hera to take her. And while she's about to leave, Law wakes up or gets up and uses Kroom, his awakening again. He uses Kroom anesthesia, and he sends his sword straight through Big Mom's arm and cheek, and everyone's shocked. Some of the men are like, Big Mom's dead. Chopper is shocked. He's like, what's with that huge sword, Law? And Law then goes on to say, I know the last one had an effect, the penetration doesn't hurt, but the attack comes from inside. And Big Mom says, no, not that. But Law proceeds to use Shock Willy, which is Shock Wave. Shock Will is wave in Japan, I believe, so Shock Wave. And he falls to the ground after the attack. and he's about to be attacked by these steel beams, but we see Kid get up now, and Kid uses his magnetism to pull all the steel beams towards himself. And Big Mom is shocked. She's like, "Kid, you're still standing. I guess you brats really want to take my head." And Kid basically goes on to say, "I'm guessing Kaido is nearly done up there as well, because even water could carve a stone with enough time." And he goes on to say basically that there's not a single thing in the world that is totally impervious to damage. And he uses his trump, or one of his trump cards, which is Punk Cornadio, which essentially is a giant metallic ox or a bull, and he charges into Big Mom and wrecks her and sends her flying. And him and Law proclaim that they'd rather die than let Big Mom go to the roof. And the chapter ends there. So quick chapter, essentially showing Law and Kid have put their minds to stopping Big Mom from going to Luffy, and they're actually willing to help him now. It's not about winning anymore per se, but yeah, so that's pretty interesting. I know the spoilers for the next chapter have already come out, but we'll wait until that chapter is officially out to review it. All in all, this was a good chapter. Interested to see what happens to Zoro next, as well as how they stop Big Mom completely, because she's not down and out yet. So let's hold on for that. But all in all, good chapter, and of course I'll see you all back here next week, maybe earlier for the review. So yeah, I'll see you all.